Hey everyone, Zach Wright, founder of Grapevine Software here. Today starts a new series that we're going to be doing where we go through Grapevine specific use cases. Now, in some cases, we're going to be doing internal Grapevine use cases, meaning this is how we actually use Grapevine as the team building Grapevine. And then in other cases, we're going to tap into some customer stories where we ask them specifically how they use Grapevine, and we're going to recreate that in our system or in our community on a different demo account. So today we're going to start with a specific use case that I use as a startup founder trying to achieve product market fit. So the reason that I wanted to touch on this use case is because I just started it and I wanted to share it with people just in case they have this same issue, which is one of the things that we're trying to do, as I mentioned, is try to achieve product market fit. We think that we have product market messaging fit just by the influx of discovery calls, demo calls, and the ability to move customers down the pipeline faster in recent. And then the other part is that as the founder, I realized that I would keep a checklist or a to-do list, but I needed to be more consistent on specific actions that will take us to product market fit faster. And so that's where I started with the daily founder checklist. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click inside of this space. And once we get into the space, you can see all the pages over here that I have broken down the weekly tracker into daily activities. So really, I'm looking at this once a week and I'm taking the average of what we achieved on customer insight, product direction, go-to-market execution, metrics and financials, and then founder ops and team enablement. And I'm coming up with how did we do in the total week, right? And then on average, we'll be able to collect these and then we can see how well we did in that entire quarter. Now I'm starting a little bit later this quarter, but we just started last week, so you can see that here. So the way that I track my daily activities is I come in here and I have these mapped out already. So I have just simple tables to track the end of the quarter, right? Because I'm going to see if this helps what we're trying to achieve. Now, the other aspect is I come in here, I give myself the specifics of what we're really trying to do, and then I bring in elements that might be outside. So I'm not gonna click this because it has some personal information there. But the way that I did this was I simply hit the / command. I went to InfoHub. I used to work at InfoBelt. I went to InfoHub and I typed in finance, right? Because I know that that's what we're using. We're using our monthly SaaS financial model, but then I could also bring in our financial plan for startup, right? And so let's say that these are the two that I need to go and do the task to make sure that I'm executing on these, right? So what we've been able to do is one, give myself the daily task, be able to track them, and then give me an easy access point that I could go and find that. Now, if for whatever reason you didn't want to bring that in here, you could still go to the search bar, you could go to your files, and then you can type in financial right here. And you can even see like some more pop up, right? So it's really up to you how you want to do that. I always think that if this is like an onboarding space or a team space, being able to bring this in here makes it so much easier to find and to leverage just in an easier way. So that's really it. Like you can see as I go through here, I have different ones for different tasks that I need to do. So founder ops enablement, pipeline over here. You can see that I brought in HubSpot. See, that's the thing with our InfoHub. We don't actually have limitations on what we can bring into our file or document storage. It could be a link to your pipeline, right? If you have a personal board in your HubSpot pipeline, you could bring that in here if you're using this for your own personal accountability system, like I'm using for myself. But yeah, so we have different use cases that we're bringing in. You can see that we even brought in I've already recorded this, but I thought I could do better. So we'll see. But I even have the video that's in here. I have the important notes and reminders because that's where another to-do list lives. And then feedback here. And then I also just have it in format here. So these are going to be priorities for the current week, priority for the next week, and then the to-do. So these are maybe things that I just need to make sure that I keep at the forefront. And then these are the things that I need to make sure I'm consistently doing. And then I take the average of this. You can see warning, checklist. And then to me, I always go down because I know that I can improve that. And so whenever we go back over here, I have my outcomes over here. And you can see that I did this on Monday, and I need to improve what I've been able to do from last week to this week. So I'm hoping that this goes into a check. And then I'm hoping as we see more checks down the road, we'll be able to say that we are achieving product market fit as a way of measuring this. Now, if you did want to use this as a team, right, it would be the same setup. The only difference is that you would share this with your team. So I have it private and internal. You would just either turn this public or you could keep it private. And then whenever you go in here, you could share this space with the specific people that you need to, right? So it's just as simple as this. I'm not going to share it because this is my specific one. But if you did add your team there, this is what they could do. They could do viewer or editor. And then let's take that a step further because we did just roll out group chat. So let's say that I want a daily founder checklist group, right? So I'm going to go here. I'm just going to click on an icon. So let's see, daily founder group. And so now, because we had Zola in there just as an example, she's our mascot. So now Zola's in here. I can create this group chat. And then if I wanted to, I could say, hi, Zola, looks like we are doing okay on weekly goals, but need to improve on XYZ. What can I do to help? Right. And so now I shared another video on this, but now I can actually communicate on what we're focused on without, and this is the context. I get excited about this, but this is the context. And then now you have the chat that is here that you can comment on the context without having to go to another app or another tab, right? It keeps the context in here. So everything's in the same system. Now, let's say that you wanted to share this daily checklist with everyone, right? Like, so we do our weekly goals. So that's something that we share. But just to show you something else that we push through, let's see, hi, team. This is an example for a use case video. I'll delete after. And so what you can do is you can now come in here and you can bring in your daily founder checklist, right? Now this is posted. Whenever I click on it, it takes me into the space, right? So think about creating a space that maybe is a strategy and or an announcement or a new policy, and then somebody being able to come in here and access that. Now, if I wasn't the owner of all these spaces right now, I could actually come in here and follow that space. So I'll show you a quick example of this with another instance. Okay, so I had to go to another instance, but let's see if you're able to see this. I'm sharing my full screen, so hopefully you'll be able to see this. But you can see that I'm following the sales pipeline. This is Zola's account. I'm following the sales pipeline, the sales best practices, the running remote event. So let's say over time, there's going to be a lot of spaces in here. Let me just simplify it to the ones that I just follow, right? Or, and I don't know if Zola has any, but if I had some here, it would show my spaces. So I can either see the entire company space or the followed spaces or my spaces, right? So this is how a lot of people will say, well, how are you different than Notion, for example? Well, all these are like having separate individual notions, but in the same place, and you can simplify it for your liking, right? So that's the biggest difference. Hopefully you saw that. But yeah, to go back to the use case, that's how we do it. And again, we can create a group chat that connects us to whatever the space is. We can have that connection there. And then if we were sharing it company wide, we could simply put it on here, and then everybody gains access to it and they can search for it later. And if I wanted to click in here, boom, it takes me there. This is what we're talking about, centralizing your company's most important information for your company, for your departments, for your teams, and even your individual people. Right? So if you found this interesting and you want to learn a little bit more, or you want to see how it specifically applies to your company, reach out to me. We're always excited to have another conversation with a new prospect. So reach out to us. And if you want to give us an idea of a use case that you're seeing and we haven't done yet, obviously this is the first episode, let us know, drop it in the comments, and we'll be happy to share this with you. Thanks so much for watching this first episode, and we'll see you on the next one.